Do not attempt to adjust your YouTube video. We control the stream.
Test.
I hear the headset now. Say something again, Vince.
Say
Test.
I can hear both of you now.
Now, if only YouTube could hear us.
My phone's still up, all the volume, so we should hear us talking soon.
Do we need to regroup and start again?
Yep, there
Yeah.
we go.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
We can hear us now.
I'm muting my phone now. Okay. So do you want to start over?
And welcome back to Geek Out. Say it's Friday and we're having fun and we have audio issues.
Gremlins in the audio.
I want to point out, you start talking haunted stuff and all the equipment fails. I want to point this out.
I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, and now we have gremlins in the equipment because we're talking about the ookie spookies. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
So we're talking about urban legends. So we're focused on some of the San Antonio's urban legends, but not just like any old urban legends, kind of the spooky ones. Not like, oh, like, yeah, this happens, or if you put on your headlights and stuff like that. Those are urban legends. We're staying away from those.
This more has to do with like folklore type of stuff,
yes, it
and
does
like because San Antonio,
stuff that happened back in the 1800s.
Well, San Antonio has a big
lot of them.
Hispanic culture, obviously, because Texas used to be part of Mexico and Spain and everything. So we have those stories from, like you said, the 1800s and stuff that came over here that were then passed around. And so they've just kind of continued to be passed around, and some of them have evolved over the time period, and some of them we've gotten new little offshoots of some things. So we're going to tell you some of that stuff that's kind of unique, I think, to San Antonio. It's the same kind of basic principle stories that we start with, and then they kind of go elsewhere from there, you know. So but yeah, we just wanted to share some spooky stuff with you.
So you are dressed up as?
Well, this is actually my wig that I use when I pretend to be La Llorona. But this is not my La Llorona outfit, because generally when you see her, she's in her wedding dress. Even though during the story, when the tragedies happen to her, most of the time in the story, she's not in her wedding dress because it's years after her wedding.
Right.
So, but I know the story pretty well if you want me to tell everybody the story.
Yes. Go ahead and tell the story.
Okay, so La Llorona is the weeping woman. Her name is Maria.
Spanish. That's what it means in Spanish.
Yeah, it's Spanish for the weeping woman. Her name was Maria originally, and she was very vain, and she was very beautiful, and she had a lot of suitors. Well, she just only wanted like the richest guy. So she finds this rancher, and he's very rich and very prominent, and so she uses her womanly wiles and she marries him, and she has 2 children with him. Well, he finds out that she's kind of like, you know, she's not like super deep. She's pretty shallow. She's not a very nice person. She's kind of vain, right? And so she was kind of his trophy wife. Well, she finds out that he's fallen in love with somebody else. And so that enrages her, because she is just too beautiful and too magical for this mere man to fall in love with somebody else. So this is where the kind of offshoot goes off. And so this is the one that I like the best. The one that I like the best says that she drowns her 2 children in a fit of rage against her husband. And then she kills herself. Well, then when she goes to heaven to try to get in, they're like, well, where are your children? We know that they're dead, but you can't come in without your children. Well, she doesn't know, she can't find them. So she goes back to the river searching for them, and then moms use this to scare their kids, and they're like, well, if you're not good and you stray too far from mommy, then the weeping woman will come and get you, and she'll take you into the river and try to take you to heaven, because she can't find her kids, so she steals kids. So you'll see this kind of theme in a lot of Mexican and Spanish lore of these creatures that steal your children. So So that's one version of her that moms tell. And then in the other version of her, she drowns her kids. She drowns her kids in every version, but
It's not very nice.
she's not very nice. But she
Have
drowns.
we brought up a image of her?
She
Yes.
she drowns her children, and then she realizes too late what she's done, and she is traumatized by it. So she roams the river wailing until she dies, like of starvation. She just roams the river.
So this particular story is told to kind of frighten kids to like be good.
Right, and to stay away from water, right? Because they could drown, but if you scare them and you tell them there's this scary ghost lady that's gonna drown
but
you, like
some of them tell them if you don't be
if you don't be good, La Llorona's gonna come and get you. Yeah. But I
drown
think
you.
some of the other ones,
not very nice.
Yeah, some of the other ones are used a little bit more. From what I've always known, and from my friends here in San Antonio, they said their moms would tell them a lot, so that they wouldn't go swimming in a lake or something, right?
Yeah.
So that they wouldn't go down to the water and go swimming, that the weeping woman was down there and trying to get you and like drown you in the water or whatever.
So this next one that I want to talk about, it's a little closer to home. So this one is about the dancing devil. I was surprised you didn't know what the dancing devil was.
No.
El Camaroncito. So that was the club here in San Antonio that the dancing devil was found. So
Well, you're such a club rat. No wonder you knew about a
I
club.
didn't go to
dancing
this club because this happened in like 1975. I was like
devil.
two.
One. You
One.
were one.
One. I
Yeah,
was
you were
one.
one. I was two.
So, and it was on Halloween on 1975. So the story is there is this man and he's out on the floor and dancing. He's really nice looking, and this girl starts dancing with him. So they're dancing and dancing, and then she looks down and it looks like he has chicken feet, and she freaks out. And like other people see it, and they say, well, he looks like he has split hooves, so that kind of like looks like that's like a devil. So when she screams, this devil runs to the restroom, and it starts just getting hot in there, smelling like sulfur, and then he's like nowhere to be found after that.
Really?
Yeah.
So people in San Antonio got to dance with the devil one night.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Well, so La Llorona didn't remind me of the dancing devil. It actually reminds me of the donkey lady, which is San Antonio only. The donkey lady only happens in San Antonio. So it's another tragic mother. I don't know why these mothers are all tragic, right? But she actually doesn't do anything. But what happens is there's a couple of versions. One is like a wandering stranger sets their farmhouse on fire, and the other one is the husband goes crazy and sets the house on fire. But anyway, somebody sets their house on fire, right? And it's out in, the hill country around San Antonio, so they've got a ranch and a farm, and her two kids are in there, and she's in there, but she can't get to her kids. So at the last minute, while she's burning, she decides to save herself. And so she goes out of the window, and because her skin is burning, like it elongates her face, and it makes her fingers like stumps because they go down. And so she wanders the hill country crying, looking like a donkey lady, like missing her kids and wondering why this happened to her family and why she couldn't save them. So
Well, there was another story that was attached to that, that lady had donkeys. So a donkey bit somebody's kid. So the dad comes with another guy, and then they're like arguing with her, and they throw her over the bridge, and she ends up drowning where that bridge is, because where that bridge is, the donkey lady.
Check your mic, you keep going in and out.
Oh.
Okay.
But the donkey lady, better? The donkey lady, What was I talking about?
That she gets thrown over the bridge
She drowns.
and drowns. Okay.
And we actually have a picture of the
Because it's an actual bridge.
it's a bridge.
Yeah, it's an actual bridge. Yeah. Because people do go to this bridge and they
But
try to
it's like,
find
it's
her.
like two different bridges in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And it's right around, because we're not really talking about it because they kind of debunked it a long time ago, the ghost tracks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we don't
but
talk
that
about
was
the ghost
another
tracks
thing.
anymore because that was debunked. But, you know, the donkey lady, supposedly you can go down there and hear her. So maybe we have to go try that. No, Aaron says no, you've tried to go hear her.
Well, I'll do, so every October on my channel, I do like haunted stuff, and I also have a haunted YouTube channel where we do a bunch of haunted videos. I've gone like 2 times out there,
Nothing.
and nothing ever happens.
You don't hear anything. Maybe it's because you're not a mom. Maybe.
I mean, I'm a single dad that's got, I play both roles.
That's true.
I'll put a
You
dress
are a
on and I'll be
single
out there
dad.
in a dress. I'm like, hey, how's it going?
I'm going to dress and hear the donkey
I've
lady.
been there before and I've never heard anything.
Never heard anything.
See, and when I've gone, people are like, oh, no, you have to go at exactly 3 in the morning. I'm like, why? If it's haunted, it's haunted. It'll happen whenever you're there.
Yeah.
And I remember we went one time, there was 2 people fishing, and they're like, we've never seen anything here.
Aw. Don't debunk the ghost stories. It's not fun.
That is my job as an investigator.
So yeah, I mean, it's good little folklore, but I think from what it seemed like to me, and I'm no expert or anything, although I've done some research about this, it seemed like to me it was basically a San Antonio version of La Llorona that somebody used, and they were trying to like scare people or whatever, and they twisted it around a little bit, and it added and then they added the donkeys in and whatever, and just that's how stories happen and evolve anyway. So that's how you get these ghost stories passed on. It's one ghost story that's reiterated and becomes something else, or it's a real life thing that happened, and then it becomes a bigger story and a bigger story and a bigger story. Like even if you think of in Dracula, which is not a Latin American thing, but that was a real life person who was drinking people's blood and then got turned into this story that got turned into all these other stories that now we have today. So I bet the donkey lady is probably something like that.
And I've heard like 2 different versions, like different than what y'all said. I've
Oh,
heard
really?
other versions. Like one version was, I think when the kid got bit or something, the town basically attacked the house, threw the flames at it, whatever it was they used, and then when she was leaving, it burnt her limbs so bad that when she was walking, they were breaking off, and that's what made her to be able to walk on all fours.
Walk on all fours.
And then the face was melted, which gave her the elongated look. So it's kind of a mixture of
A
everything.
mixture of all of it,
And
yeah.
I'm like, that's weird. Like, if my limbs are breaking off, I'm screaming. Like,
Right.
Like, no.
Ouch.
Well, that's what you're hearing, and then
That's true.
is her screaming because she's in pain and agony. So, well, we always hear these people in pain and agony. Why can't we just have nice, friendly ghosts like Casper or something? Just come visit us and bring you like a Diet Pepsi or something. They're like, here.
Depends who's paying them that
Have
much.
a Coke and a smile. No, right? Depends on who their ghost sponsors are.
Yeah, who sponsored them today?
So let's bring up the image of Fang Baby, the Fang Baby of Old Pearsall Road, which is, I'm surprised you didn't like know.
No,
right
I knew
off.
of Fang Bait. I knew about
But did
Fang
you know
Bait.
it was on Old Pearsall Road? Because I didn't.
So I did, because we used to live there.
Yeah.
So we used to live off of Old Pearsall Road, and it's kind of creepy over there as it is. It's a little,
Kind of, a
it's a
little
little
bit.
ghetto. It's a little, ghetto, and a little dark at night sometimes, and a little creepy. So yeah, I've heard about Fang Baby. It kind of creeps me out. So.
So the story with this one is there's like a carload of people. They were like partying out and having fun. And the driver is driving along, and then he like sees something on the road. And then
Well, and he's pretty sure he sees a toddler. He sees a little kid on the road, like in a white shirt and a diaper, which, not gonna lie, if you are from San Antonio and you're on Old Pearsall Road, that's might be not so uncommon as you would think to see on the road on Old Pearsall Road. No, seriously. When I lived there, there were several times I
he
had
sees
to
this
stop
thing
for
and he
children.
tries to avoid it, and he almost flips over.
Right.
And he misses it, so he doesn't hit it. So he goes out and he's driving along, and
They decide to just leave this toddler there. They're like, well, we're partying. So.
yeah. Well, he starts to feel guilty.
Yeah, so then he feels bad.
So then he like goes back and then goes over there to see if he can find the toddler.
But he doesn't feel so bad that he can't stop at the liquor store and get a 12-pack. Because he does stop and get a 12-pack.
Right.
This is part of the story, priorities. He does stop and get a
He
12-pack
gets a
before
beer.
he goes to find, because you need a 12-pack in order to deal with infants. That's a known fact, right? So
Only 12.
So he gets to the spot, and then he ends up having like a flat tire there
with 2 puncture wounds in it.
with 2 puncture wounds. So he takes a look at that 2 puncture wounds, and I think he like passes out or something like that.
Well, so he changes the tire, and he's
Yeah.
like, well, I don't see a baby. He's like, but maybe I'll wait around in case the baby comes back. I don't know where the baby was going to come back, but whatever.
Yeah, it's gonna crawl back, hey man.
Yeah, and so he starts drinking, and he kind of passes out.
So he feels like something sharp, like on his neck,
He feels a pain in his neck, a sharp pain in his neck. Uh-huh.
and then he kind of wakes up, and then he sees this little fang baby standing over him with blood on his mouth.
Uh-huh. This little white shirt diaper wearing, fang having, blood sucking baby on his neck.
So over the top.
For a little like bloody.
And I don't know
Mother
how
tongue.
we got this story because nobody's seen the driver since.
Right.
But then how did he tell the story? No one saw him since.
Yeah, you know, like I said, these stories get a little bigger as time goes by, you know. And then nobody saw them since then. Dun, dun,
But they
dun.
told the story.
But they told somebody the story
Yeah.
before cell phones. Because this is a pretty old story from at least the 80s that I know of when I heard it first. So, yeah. So, I don't know. That one's pretty fun, but it's
I remember
kinda
back
creepy.
in the day, Lyle and Han did a bit on it.
Yeah.
Back on Magic. Were they on
No, on
Magic?
Kiss.
Were they on Kiss? No,
They were on Kiss.
Oh, they were on Kiss. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun story because what's creepier than like a creepy little baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because even like when you think about Pet Cemetery, have you seen that movie Pet Cemetery, Aaron? The old one?
Long time. It's been a
Like the
while.
scariest thing is Gage when he's all, do you want to play? And he's got the scalpel and he's going after the little old man. You're like, oh, scary baby.
Creepy
Like-
little babies and kids freak me out the most.
Creepy babies and kids, and then anything that like sucks on your blood and like is Dracula-esque, is gonna like drain your blood. I think people love those kinds of stories too,
I
because
look at him. You're diabetic now.
Steve says it's aliens, dude. I'm telling you, it might be. I would probably
you would
believe
totally
that.
believe that. Well, so another Mexican folklore, San Antonio-esque bloodsucker is Chupacabra.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize how new Chupacabra was. Like, I've heard stories of it for so long. I didn't realize that the stories didn't really come about until the 80s.
Right.
And that was because some of the farmers and ranchers had like cattle and sheep and stuff that were killed and seemed to be drained of their blood through like puncture holes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, at first, obviously, it's, you know, vampires and Fang Baby. No, it wasn't Fang Baby. I'm just kidding. Fang Baby. And then some rancher woman swears that she sees this, like, animalistic, what people think in reality, because they think it's been debunked, was like a coyote, but like
With mange.
like a mangy coyote that had not been fed well, so it was emaciated and everything. Because that's kind of what the Chupacabra pictures look like when you see them.
Yeah.
So people think that scientifically that's probably like it, but they call Chupacabra like the Bigfoot of South Texas. Because people look for it all. There's been sightings of these animals having, like, lambs and feral hogs and different animals, like, basically being drained of blood, and no reason like why they should have been.
Right.
So that's our Bigfoot, is Chupacabra. And so we'll see. I don't know. People still search for it all the time and try to find it. There have been people that have, like, quote unquote, found it and it's stuffed, and
But
they
the
try
ones
to
that they-
sell it and stuff.
But the
and
ones that they're talking about are dogs, like.
dog-like. But there's other versions.
other versions that look more alien-like.
Yeah, because there's one that's more upright, but still kind of like slouched over, and it has like the long arms, and it's
And it
reddish,
has, like, spikes
and it
out
has
the-
spikes and stuff. Yeah. So there's several different iterations of the Chupacabra, depending on who's seen it and who's telling the stories.
They're aliens and they're alien pets.
That makes
Aliens
sense.
and their alien pets.
Did you ever see? This was a long time ago. They were talking about the Chupacabra, and it was like trying to like break it down. Like, what could it really be? And so they had, I don't remember how, but there was a dead animal, and they put cameras on it to see what happens. And the way it works actually is whatever like insects get there first, they actually start making circles. And they were like, it's a puncture wound.
Right.
And they show within 24 hours like what happens to the
Right.
body. And it's like, oh, well, that makes sense. If the body's been there for, it's only within like the first 4 hours or 5 hours or something of it, like these little bugs already start making a hole.
Yeah.
And it looks like a puncture, and it's always near the neck for some reason. And they're like, we don't know why it's right there, but every time they did this, it was like always right there. It's like, that's interesting.
That makes sense. I would say insects could be the culprit a lot of time because we don't understand, and especially lay people don't understand like what insects do or how the decaying process goes.
Yeah, it's so fascinating too when you actually like get to see what happens in nature with how it really breaks the body down.
We have a really cool place called the Body Farm where forensic scientists go and they leave different bodies that have been donated to science in like different like things of water and sand and stuff to decay and see like what happens to them and stuff.
What
So
college is that? Is that by A&M?
it's near A&M, yeah, the Body Farm, yeah. So that's a Texas thing too. So a lot of forensic science happens here, and it's good because we have the heat and the bugs and stuff, so we can really get some of that going. And then they import in some bugs from other places to see how they work. But yeah, it's really cool. Sorry, I divulged into science. I was like, we scienced, and then it was a thing.
I love it.
So, but yeah, I like it. I mean, I think that's one of the fun parts about myths and legends and urban legends is even when I teach this kind of topic to my students, it's there's a foundation in reality, but it's good, fun storytelling, right?
Well, have you heard of the headless nun at Santa Rosa Hospital?
I have not heard of the headless nun. I've heard like several like dead nun roaming around like haunting places stories, but not a headless nun. Why?
So apparently there was a fire that broke out in like 1912. So imagine it's been around that long, Santa Rosa Hospital, and the nuns who worked then at the orphanage died while trying to save children. So there was. Well, maybe it wasn't. There was,
so there was an orphanage there before they
where-
built the hospital.
Before they built the hospital.
Yeah. But why, if there was a fire, why is she headless? Like, what
That's what I
happened
was
to her
confused
head?
That wasn't really explained.
Yeah.
But
So some of
but
these
apparently
stories,
they
like,
just
people
roam
need to
the
do a little
halls in
better.
there.
Like, do better when you write a story. Okay.
Just a little bit.
She's headless. Watch.
She's headless. It's fine. Just go with it.
The fire chopped her head off.
Fire became a fire blade.
Decapitation
Fire
fire.
There was a dancing devil blade.
There's a lot of nun stories because we have a lot of like Catholic organizations here and orphanages and stuff. So it's nuns and children around here. Like, we love to kill nuns and children. It's a terrible thing.
Well, have you been to Yorktown Memorial Hospital? It's about an hour and a half from here. So Yorktown Memorial Hospital was run by the Catholic Church. I've been there 3 or 4 times now, and they talk about what the nuns did and what the I guess the preacher, the father, what he did, and it was pretty bad. So now I understand why there would be a lot of like nun scary stories. Like he did some things, I'll say it that way, and the nuns had to cover a lot of it up.
Oh wow.
Lovely. Well, even the ghost tracks, like we were talking about the ghost tracks earlier, and that's part of the lore of the ghost tracks too, is that the reason the children pushed the car off the ghost tracks is because the nun was on the bus with them when they died, and she's the only one that survived. When the train hits their bus, she gets thrown out of the bus and she survives. So she feels so much guilt for surviving when the busload of kids die that she goes and parks her car on the train tracks so that she can be the one who dies and goes with them, and they love her and they don't want her to die because obviously she was saved for some reason, and so they push her off the tracks. So now if anybody comes and sits on the tracks, that's why they push you off the tracks.
But now they fixed it so it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. It was a leveling problem. It was a science problem, and they fixed it so you can't do it.
But
it
like
was a
people will
fun
like go
thing.
over there and put powder on the back of things, and some people say, "Oh yeah, like handprints are showing up on there."
It was
their
it was
own
their
fingerprints.
it was their own fingerprints and cats and stuff because you leave oils behind because your like the MythBusters did something on that, right? Or,
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah. So I was like, stop ruining it.
It was like if you completely washed and waxed your car and didn't touch it, you wouldn't find anything.
You wouldn't find
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, you wouldn't find anything. So it's still a fun story to go with it. But God knows who like did that the first time, right? Who's like got their car on the tracks with some powder and then is like, I could turn this into a good story and freak
Right.
people out and take my friends out here when we have nothing better to do because we're out of money.
Because we bought all the baking powder or whatever for
Because
this.
we bought all the powder and the beer. So yeah, we have some good times, some good stories here.
So there were some other things and that you were talking about that I had no idea.
Had you
We're
not
on
heard of
there.
the Duende?
No, never.
Really?
Mm-mm.
So that's even that's Mexican and Spanish folklore, but it's also in like monster manuals and stuff for some role-playing games. So I'm surprised that you hadn't heard of them. They're like little goblins, little like LV goblin-y type things, and they again are used to scare children, and they come and eat you, and there's a version that's kind of like the Tooth Fairy. But it's like an evil tooth fairy, not a good one. And so these little duende come and they like steal your teeth, and they like build little castles out of your teeth, out of children's teeth, and live in them and stuff. And then they steal children to be their slaves and things like that. And so, and you have to clean your closet because they like to hide like in your closet under your clothes and stuff. Again, it's for moms so that they can get you to clean your room. And
So is that where they got the tooth fairy from?
that's where the Tooth Fairy came from, right? Is from this. They turned it into something nice and sweet. Probably Disney or something. No, I'm just kidding. The Tooth Fairy's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it started as that, and it started with this lore again of like trying to get kids to do their chores and do what they were supposed to. And so these little evil goblins come and like, you know, gnaw on you or eat you or take you to be a slave. And so I'm surprised you'd never heard of them because they're in role-playing games and a lot of fantasy role-playing games. So yeah.
I don't really like fantasy world.
I know you're not a fan, but I've played a lot in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So so yeah, I like them because they're kind of, I like little mini things, and something kind of creepy about like a bunch of little mini things like crawling up you that would like, you know, gnaw on you or whatever as they're crawling up. It probably came around like from rats or something, right? Like gnawing on you in the night, and then it turned into like goblins and stuff were gnawing on you in the night and stuff like that. So I can definitely see where these connections were made back in the day when they made these stories. But I just like the thought of little evil goblins going out and like terrorizing people. So yeah.
So have you ever heard of the Converse Wolfman?
I have not.
He wears Converse?
That's what I was
Yeah.
wondering.
That's what I'm like,
He's like Teen
From-
Wolf? He's like Teen Wolf and he
In
really likes
Converse, in Converse. So
Oh, in
it's on the
Converse,
outskirts
Texas.
of Converse,
Okay,
Texas.
okay,
So
okay.
on the outskirts of San Antonio, like further north. So the story is that in the 1900s, there's a farmer there, and he's trying to get his kid to like go out there and hunt because all he likes to do is just read. Read.
Best kinda
So
kid
go
ever.
out there and go hunt. So he sends him out, and they don't see him again. So they get together and start to go search for him. They end up finding his body, and then and his dead body, and then they see this hairy man-looking wolf thing standing over, and then he ends up scaring off and runs away.
That seems like a stretch.
So legend is that the creek in that area, whenever the Wolfman returns, it turns red during a full moon.
bunch of iron maybe in that area. Comes down from Paladura and sediment. Science. I love a good Wolfman story too. I'm not gonna lie, I like a lot of good stories. Just tell me a good story and I'm down. So
It's like 9 foot tall thing that they saw.
yeah. I saw that one and I was like, is this the dad's excuse for killing his reading son? Because I feel like the dad did it. I feel like it's one of those murder mysteries where you're like, I know the parents did it. We're going to find out sooner or later, right?
And he brought out, just say that you saw this.
Just say you saw the Wolfman, okay?
Yeah.
Just say it. Or you're next to meet the Wolfman.
Right? That's how they do it.
Gonna get you.
Gonna get ya. Well, I can't believe you haven't brought up Cucuy. Because I feel like that's probably
So
the
we needed
most...
to end with Cucuy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, do you have some others than you want to get to before we go to
No,
Cucuy?
we're good.
Okay. I feel like that's the most popular one, right? We've all
Between
heard...
La Llorona and Cucuy.
La Llorona, who we started with,
Yeah.
I think is quite popular, and there's been a lot of stories about her. But I think Cucuy too. And I think you probably have more experience with this because you grow up with Mexican heritage. So did anybody ever tell you that Cucuy was going to get you?
Yeah. I mean, that was always when we
Like
were
your grandma,
scared.
right?
No, not necessarily my grandmother, but like us cousins would just like talk about it like late at night, or just like, oh yeah, we need to be good, or the Cucuy's gonna get us. The Cucuy, and that's the one thing I never really heard that from any.
So the
like my
grown-ups
mom.
didn't try
no,
to
the grandma-
scare you.
No,
Oh.
it
See-
was always the kids that tried to scare us with that.
A lot of my friends would tell me about that, like when I was growing up, because I was in the very Christian-y household, so it was just like you're gonna burn in hell. It's like that's matter of fact, right? But then my friends were like, no, you have to worry about Cucuy. Like Cucuy's gonna come and get you if you don't listen to your mom. And
But like if we would like hear like noises like ooh Cucuy, what is that?
And it's another, so if you aren't familiar with the folklore, Cucuy is another one of those folklore where it's like, this is more of like again, has different iterations depending on who tells it, but it's more of like a demon kind of, scary, creepy, long fingers, like, stalks you kind of guy looking for children, wants to eat them or hang them up as trophies in his Cucuy house or whatever he wants to do. And so it's something that parents would tell, and they, from what I've researched over time, is it was more of like the dad's version of La Llorona. Like the moms would use La Llorona more, and the dads would use Cucuy because they were like, I'm not putting up with this brat. Cucuy's gonna come and get you. You don't even have to worry about me whooping you because Cucuy is gonna come and take you and eat you. So it didn't have. It was never like human or anything before. It's a full-on like monster, demon, ghost story. It wasn't somebody that like had some misfortune or something. This is just. This creature feeds on children, loves children's souls. It's coming to get you. It especially loves naughty children. Here it comes, right? So behave or else. We're going to actually go out there and like spin around in the mirror 3 times and call Cucuy. No, that's just kidding. That's Bloody Mary.
But even that was a big one that we would talk about, Bloody Mary.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, grow up. Christian.
Which didn't Candyman, the new Candyman?
Candyman did the same,
soon?
which I was surprised that Candyman did that because I'd never heard of Candyman coming from the mirror, but so, I went to a private school,
I
a
still
little
won't
Baptist
do it.
school.
I will not do Bloody Mary. I still won't do it. My cousins tried to get me to do it. I wouldn't do it to this day. Like I even think about it, like if I'll never close the bathroom door and be in the dark in front of a mirror.
I scared the crud out
I
of
won't,
my friends.
not even saying it.
I
I just won't be there.
I have no like ability to restrain myself, and then when you tell me don't do something because something horrible is gonna happen, I'm like, let's do that. So I did that to my
Good luck.
friends. I did that to my friends when we were like in the 4th grade, and I was like, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. I won't do it a 3rd time because then Vince will freak out. And then
The look.
all these little girls are like screaming in the bathroom because when you do it, you're just supposed to stand near the light and then you turn the light off, you know, like with your arm or something so that they can't see you. And then you like go, and then everybody's like, ah! But yeah, so it's a pretty good one. It scares people. So we did that a lot when we were kids.
Yeah.
Scare people with Bloody Mary. And it seemed like a big no-no. You weren't supposed to do it. And it seemed pretty creepy at first when I was younger. But then I was
Yeah,
like, I got to
it
just see
was.
I just need to see what happens. I just got to know. I got to know. It's got to be something
It
good.
was creepy.
But it's creepy. So go do it. Go to the bathroom. Turn the lights off.
Don't.
You have to spin around 3 times as you face back towards the mirror. Say Bloody Mary.
Don't do
Just
it.
turn the light on and see what happens.
Don't do it. No.
Don't do it. Vince says don't do it.
That's not nice.
He's like, have you not watched The Ring or any of these movies? Do you know nothing? Don't do the thing.
Just like I forget what commercial it is. Why can't we just go in the car that's
The
running with the
car.
keys on? Let's go over there where all those blades are.
The
The
chainsaw.
Oh, the
Chainsaws,
chainsaws.
Yeah.
Even the killer's like,
I know. I love that commercial. That commercial's hilarious. So yeah, so look into your folklore, learn a little something. You'll see connections and
You'll see connections, a lot of connections in history,
yeah.
and which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because you go through the Alamo's supposed to be really haunted.
Oh, well, because yeah, the Alamo.
What else? Emily
Yep.
Morgan,
A lot of San Antonio, a lot of that downtown area,
Gunther.
the hotel,
St.
what's
Anthony.
that hotel? The Manger.
Manger.
The
That was the other one I was
Manger.
thinking. Emily Morgan.
And they
Manger.
will not let you go in there to try to film stuff. The Manger is like
rent a
tight
room.
on that. Yeah.
Just gonna rent a room and just do it.
Yep. Go
Mhm.
rent a room and go down there and see if you can get them because it's supposed to have some really good activity down there.
I've had issues on that one
Yeah.
when I went.
Black Swan Inn. That's another one.
That one's not creepy. It's just dirty.
No, if you know where to go, it's creepy. You have to go. There's only one room that's haunted there. That's why.
Oh, I
If
mean,
you-
I like all the dolls and stuff. They don't freak me out.
It's not the dolls that freak me out. It's
Oh,
the,
what is it?
So the thing with the Black Swan Inn, it's only one room that's haunted, and that's where they did the scrying. And what scrying is to summon these demons
Right.
and these entities. It's so you go in. If you go into the main front door, you go right down the hallway all the way to the very end, and then it's the door under the staircase. That's the room that's haunted itself.
Oh, okay.
And if you start messing in that room, then that room starts kind of getting issues. I've caught stuff there though on film.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I'd love to go check that out.
I
Because
would
I've
love
been to
go
Black
there.
Swan and I was like, eh.
Yeah, we've caught stuff there. Me and Peter went like a few times already. I've gotten scratched once, and I had a very, very vivid dream right after it one time too. And then the other time, and I was so mad because I thought my camera was pointed at it. I'm standing in front of the mirror. Other people were having some weird issues in the room, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm distorted. And I was like, what? So maybe it's just dirty. Walk around the table. I look fine. Walk back. I look fine again. Like, why am I not distorted? But my camera, I thought was aimed at it, didn't pick it up. I
Didn't
was
pick it up.
So
Oh.
mad.
Wow.
There was a part where I was off by myself, and the group was somewhere else, and I thought I heard something, so I was following like where the sound was, and I could Aaron, and I'm like, okay, why are they calling me? Like they should be fine. And I start walking back. They would have had to have yelled for me to hear my name softly. I walk back and I see Ryan, who was there, and I was like, hey, did y'all call me? He's like, no one's called you, dude. He's like, we called you a while back, but when you didn't answer, we figured, oh yeah, whatever. I was like, dude, I just heard it like a minute ago that you guys said my name. And he's like, no, we didn't say anything. Like, he's like, I swear to you, we didn't. So,
Nice.
that one I've had weird issues at.
Yeah.
Let's go
We've
to
had
that.
some weird issues here.
So I
Uh-oh.
tend to attract entities for whatever reason. So at every house that we've been at, we've had issues.
But then so do I too.
The boys, when the boys were little, there was a little girl that they used to talk to
Oh, weird.
that lived here. Then she would open the drawers and stuff, and we hear her sometimes at night. And there's somebody that seems more like a man that stomps up and down the stairs and slams against the front door. Yeah, we have entities here. We've had entities at all of our houses. So, we
Like
just-
this one, I've seen the little girl,
we've seen the girl.
and I've seen other people like in the kitchen area.
Yeah.
But like when we're like watching TV, but we can only see them but by the side of our eyesight.
Yeah, you can just see the girl like she goes by in the kitchen, but you can see her like she's in like an old timey white dress. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I've seen stuff since I was a kid. My mom said when I was about 4 or so, I was talking about a lady floating above me, touching my chest. And I remember at our old house, I used to see red and blue figures walking up down the hallway. And no. I still go to this stuff though. I'm still like, I'm gonna go. He's like, I'm gonna move the camera.
Yeah.
I still see it like once in a while, and we still have issues once in a while where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, we'll all go together and see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm always down for
try
haunted
it down.
stuff.
Yep.
Always down for haunted stuff. Yorktown's been my favorite. Yorktown, basically, there was a double murder suicide there and a lot of other death that I can tell you all off camera. It's just a lot.
Nice.
Very cool. So we hope we spooked you just a little bit.
What's your favorite
Just a little
folklore,
bit.
though, before you let everybody go? One favorite folklore. I'm going to ask each of you, whoever has one.
Mine's the dancing devil because
Dancing
that's
devil.
always been.
And mine is La Llorona.
Okay, there you go.
What's yours?
Skinwalkers. They creep me the heck out. But I love Native American ones, so
Yeah.
they freak me out, the idea of that. Because I'd be like, oh, okay, because they're supposed to attract you. Like, hey, come here. I'd be like, okay. I'd be the dumb one that.
Why
walks up.
not?
Hey, what do you need, man? Oh, I'm dead.
Oh, and I'm dead.
But thanks for checking us out. I really appreciate it. I'm Vince.
I'm Colleen, and that's Aaron.
Geek out essay.
essay.